Good morning, ladies. Thought I'd let you see me first thing in the morning, bright and early. Actually, not first thing in the morning. I've at least had a few sips of my tea, and I'm about to sit, do a little bit more prayers and meditation. But, sometimes we don't like to let people see our vulnerability, right? And our first face in the morning, without our hair being done, our face being done, all polished off, can feel kind of vulnerable for us women, right? So I thought wrapping up this 9-week series, just being up close and personal, cozy on my couch, was a great way to be able to kind of wrap it up. So I would love to be able to hear from you guys in this group. If you want to keep this group going, if you would like to have any motivational stuff throughout the week, at least once or twice a week, a posting of just motivation to continue to pursue this fearless food freedom adventure. So, please share, let me know. I would love to be able to continue to be y'all's guide and coach and us, working together, period. So I told you last week that I would share a little bit about my story and how I got here, my journey with food. So a little bit, it's interweaved with multiple different little things. But the easiest thing to really, I guess, resonate or to get with it is for you to understand that I've been there. I totally... one, because we are broken, because of the choices that Eve made, we are always going to struggle, period, as women. But I grew up watching my parents have disordered eating habits, in the sense that my father, he definitely chose food as a way to comfort himself, whether out of boredom, out of his own wounds that he hadn't worked through himself, out of his through his addictions, different things. But I didn't know that at the time. I also watched my mother closet eat, in the sense of, in our family, we were not allowed to eat sugar. Sugar was literally dubbed as sin, as evil. And so if we did, we were sinners, we were wrong to eat sugar. But yet, I would see my mom sneak food. I would see her, when she didn't think anybody was watching, she would have her mouth full of something that she knew that wasn't going to be supportive for her body and her system. So I saw that. So that's one layer between my parents having disordered, and that's what, when a person struggles with food, whether it's food addictions or whatever, but they're treating food in a different sort of way, that's disordered eating, versus an eating disorder, which is bulimia, anorexia, and they can cross over, because an eating disorder is disordered eating, because again, you're not valuing food for nourishment and what its purpose is. So I have that as a layer with my parents. But then I also have a layer of that I have dysmorphia. And what dysmorphia is it is a body image distortion of yourself. So when a person with dysmorphia looks in the mirror, they literally do not see what the actuality is, what is there really there in the mirror. I've always been blessed to not have it full blown, in the sense that when I look in the mirror, whenever there are any triggers, whenever there's anything that has been taking place in my life, and I'm at the lowest of my dysmorphia, I'm able to still know that beyond what I am seeing, whatever my mind's eyes are playing tricks on me, that it's not the truth. It is not God's truth. And so God has always protected me in that. So how does a person get dysmorphia? Because dysmorphia and eating disorders and disordered eating actually all go hand in hand. So dysmorphia has kind of a three-prong situation where a person can dysmorphia, first of all, develops and forms at a really young age, usually in the formative years, anywhere between 3, 4, 5 up until 10. It can happen a little bit later, but usually that is a lot of contributing environmental things. And usually, if it's an older age, it's more other type of traumas that are causing the dysmorphia type of attributes, I guess, for lack of better words. But dysmorphia itself is how it develops in a young girl's brain. There's 3 different ways, and usually there's at least one, if not a combination. I am blessed to have all 3. I say blessed because, again, it has had me lean on God tremendously over the years through it. So dysmorphia can develop at a very young age, like I said, due to a mother usually, or a very strong female figure in their life who didn't have a healthy self-respect or towards their self-image. They spoke negatively about themselves, especially in front of the child or other women. So again, it's usually the mother, but it also can be an aunt, a cousin, an older sister, anybody that this young girl really values and respects and looks up to. If she is hearing and seeing the woman in her life speak negatively about herself physically, pulling and tugging, pinching, all that stuff on her body, and just, making faces at her body, then that creates a chemistry or a chemical reaction within the girl and in her spirit of, thinking, well, maybe we're not so beautifully, wonderfully made as a woman or as a girl. So that's one prong. Another prong is if a young girl, especially at a young age, experiences any type of sexual abuse, sexual traumas. So we're talking not just rape, we're talking not just incest, we're talking not just, it can be anything where her sexuality is being viewed as an object. She's being viewed as an object versus a subject. And again, remembering or keeping in mind that sexual abuse isn't just rape. It isn't just molestation. It is multiple. It can be being treated like an object, lewd remarks, being patted, being looked at inappropriately, having been exposed to pornography at a really young age, or at any age, really and truly, having sexual conversations with adults or others at formative years, at too young, inappropriate conversations. So, but I had experienced sexual abuse starting at the age of, I believe it was 9. So I was inappropriately touched by a friend's older brother when he was helping all of us get into our bathing suits or get our bathing suits tied, attached, whatever, clasped, all that stuff. So over the course of 20 years, though I experienced multiple different sexual abuses of either being molested, raped, inappropriately, spoken to, just multiple different layerings of abuse. So, but that started happening at a really young age, which started to, in my mind, devalue myself. So I had the layer of my parents not eating healthy or disordered eating. I had the layer of my mom actually not speaking lovingly about herself and not viewing herself lovingly. I had the layer of starting at a young age with sexual abuse. And then the third prong for dysmorphia is that there actually is a chemical imbalance in your brain, and it has to do with serotonin. It has to do with your body not producing certain hormones properly which can then lead you or create this trigger for the dysmorphia. So I happen to have the third prong as well. And a woman can kind of understand it. A lot of women don't attribute or don't associate, don't see that if they suffer from PMS or if they have any type of hormonal imbalance, they're at a higher risk of dysmorphia, because more than likely if there's a little bit of hormones, certain hormones that are imbalanced, then the other ones are also. So it is going to affect the hypothalamus, hippocampus relationship and stuff like that. So anyways, so that is kind of, my beginning journey of how food, didn't necessarily start out the greatest for me. So as I was getting older, into my preteen and teen years, I didn't necessarily do anything restrictive, but I didn't always view food as my friend, as something to nourish me. I struggled with it, especially because of my body type, body style. Whenever I put on weight, I definitely become a curvy woman. I become Eve. I become more curvy, I should say, than I ever liked. And I know that it's silly, because a lot of women would give for curves, but I didn't. I saw curves as a way to be used and abused. That the curvier I was, to a certain extent, then that meant that I was going to be perceived as an object. So then it made me, I either would go to the extremes with food. I would either eat too much. I would, in a way, binge, but then I would starve myself. So my disordered eating and eating disorders kind of merged. I, ironically, never really got full-blown into the binging and purging, mostly because of the fact that I, understanding the health in our body and all that stuff, knew that it would destroy my esophagus and the gut lining and all that stuff. I knew all this at a really young age. So my form of punishment was exercise. My form of punishment was limiting what I ate, but then, feeling ravenous towards food, and just never really having this great relationship with food. And plus not knowing what foods were actually triggers that could possibly be causing even more brain disrupt. So, but anyways, as I got older and I started to heal and understand the traumas behind my rape and my rapes and my sexual abuse and my parents' disordered eating, I started to, and the more I started to learn with this health and wellness journey, I started to see and understand that food was my friend. It wasn't my enemy. And that food could truly be fun, and that I didn't need to do anything in extremes. My thyroid is what woke me up with that. I had gotten to... my thyroid had gotten really, really sluggish. Didn't know this. And I had put on... This was when Josephine was significantly younger. She was probably about 3. So I'd already lost my baby weight. But I had my thyroid, like I said, I had gotten really super sluggish. And so I had put on probably about 50 pounds heavier than even after post-pregnancy. And we didn't know why. But knowing what I know now, that was part of my healing journey of my body was trying to hide from its wounds. My body was trying to not go through the process of the healing. But then my body swung to the extreme, and I went hyperthyroid rather than just hypothyroid, and I lost a bunch of weight. I went down to 97 pounds. I was truly skin and bones. A lot of people were very concerned. They thought I had an eating disorder, but I still had disordered eating. I still did not see food as my friend because I didn't understand the root behind my wounds. I didn't understand what all was going on. So, with all of that, sorry, my phone was giving me messages. So, it became a journey of understanding that food wasn't my enemy and that my body was trying to talk to me and let me know that I had healing that still needed to go through. So fast forward to present day, I have, I probably will still always struggle a little bit, mostly because of the dysmorphia. And when you experience things at a really young age, it can sometimes, it takes constant prayer, constant focus, and abandoning and giving it to the Lord. And I know that when I am continually binding my will and not trying to judge myself based off of what I see, what I experience, or even any of the chemical imbalances that dysmorphia tries to throw in my brain, that I am at my happiest and I am at my most at peace. And I think that's why I loved when I read that book by Mark David, the food book that we went through during this journey. I think that's why I loved it so much years and years and years ago when I discovered it, because it truly is about us celebrating food, stopping, taking a break, and it's not about us choosing poor choice foods. It's about us knowing that food truly can be nourishing. It doesn't have to be about punishment. It doesn't have to be about pain, and it doesn't have to be about any disorders. It can truly be something that we nourish ourselves, that we celebrate, and we fellowship. So that's kind of my journey of how I got to where I'm at and why I love and why I'm passionate about sharing with other women, and especially young girls when they're forming themselves, to really find a really healthy relationship with themselves and with food, so that they don't find themselves punishing themselves with food or exercise, because they a lot of times can go hand in hand. And to be able to see if they're finding that it's becoming a chronic habit, what's the root? What is going on? What else? What is truly deep within their psyche, their emotions, their spirit that's causing the physical stuff? Because that was one of the things that I discovered even about 7 years ago, shortly after my miscarriage. That was when my dysmorphia had actually flared up the worst than it had in years and years and years. And then when I dropped my weight even more significantly, you would have thought I was even happier, because I had no curves whatsoever. I couldn't be an object of lust. I couldn't be an object of, but I was drawing attention. People were still looking at my body because they were concerned about my health, about me. But it created a disconnect even more so within me. So I had to really dig deep and figure out some of my roots, and going to the flip of, like I shared, when I had gained so much weight, when my thyroid was going super, super slow, it was a hiding mechanism for me, because I wasn't I thought I had healed from my childhood traumas, my sexual abuses, and my rapes, but I just was hiding from them. I was masking them. And certain things had to come up and come out in order for me to truly find freedom, not only with my food, but freedom with my faith and with my Lord and with my fitness and with everything. So I hope that this journey of 9 weeks of finding freedom with your food has been helpful, has been supportive. I hope that you go back and continue to watch any of the videos. I hope that getting to hear my personal journey here at the very end helps you know that I am right here with you guys. We all have different layers and different, reasons why we might struggle with food, but at the end of the day, we are all women, and we are here for each other. We are all children of God, right? And we all are descendants of Eve. So no matter what our level is of our wounds and our disorders and distortions towards food, we can break free. We truly can break free. So again, let me know if you want us to continue on with this group just to be able to have it as a support, or if you wanted to just kind of go dormant and just know that you have access to it anytime. Because like I said, I can share postings, or we can share postings. We can each, whenever we think of something that just really lights us up, we can share it in the group with about food and about being fearless with our food. All right. Well, you guys have a beautiful, blessed rest of your day, and I'm going to go getting ready for the day. Like I said, I wanted you to see me in all my vulnerability and not fully done and put together for the day, because I think sometimes we are afraid of being vulnerable, and I think that's why food sometimes can be an issue, because it can be very vulnerable. So you guys have a beautiful, blessed day, and I will visit with you more soon. All right, take care. God bless.